Jai Baba. Please me more and more by depending upon me more and more. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba to all of you. Thanks to beloved Baba. We are on the last chapter of the first book of Conversations with the Awakener. We are doing the last chapter. It is called You Have No Name, and the page number is 106. 106. All right. Sorry?
Once, while in a state of terrible physical pain, I seriously wondered whether at times you misjudge an individual's capacity for suffering in spite of being omniscient.
Such a beautiful sentence. Bal Natuji is saying that whether Baba is misjudging the capacity of each one, how much suffering they can take upon themselves. Although you are omniscient, although you are all-knowing, I feel you are misjudging the capacity of somebody's suffering. All right.
Tortured by muscle spasms and inflammation, excruciating days passed into sleepless nights. Seeking some cause or justification for what I was going through, I reviewed my recent past for transgressions or hurts that I had knowingly or unknowingly inflicted on others. But as far as I could recall, I had harmed no one, not even in my thoughts. I had, in fact, been an exceptionally good boy.
So here again something that comes out is, whenever we suffer, we try to look back whether we have knowingly or unknowingly done something wrong to cause suffering to others, as a result of which today I am suffering. So he says that I just tried to recollect whether by any chance I have harmed anybody. But he said nothing of that sort came to my mind. So that means I had not harmed anyone.
Always looking too deep for answers, I grumbled to myself miserably. What good is philosophizing at a time like this? I had asked everyone to leave me alone, as it was mortifying to have them see me in this condition.
Whenever we are unwell, we want to be kept alone because we don't want somebody to see us in a miserable state. Most of us, as we know, wear masks when we have to present ourselves to others. But if you are sick, if you are really not too well, you've not washed your face, you've not shaved, you're not, hair is absolutely disheveled, yeah, then we do not want anybody to see us. We don't want anybody to come and meet us at that time.
I find it extremely embarrassing.
Mortifying is extremely embarrassing. We become very embarrassed when somebody or just walks in out of good intent, actually, to ask us, how do you feel? How are you feeling now? But we are in no so-called physical shape to face them because we are all, what should I say, not dressed up to face somebody. Even mentally.
So now I was alone with my suffering and my fear. I turned on.
Sorry, I keep interrupting, but and whenever we have suffering, there is always an element of fear. One fear is, this is my karma, which obviously is, which is hitting me. I should not have done this or done that or whatever this. And the other fear is, what now? What is going to happen? Am I going to survive? Am I going to die? Is somebody going to be with me? Am I going to be alone? And all these unnecessary, anxiety crops up in our mind.
I turned on my side, closed my eyes, and the tears began to flow. I wanted to sob and weep unrestrainedly and moaned aloud.
Oh, moaning is a cry out of pain.
Oh, ah. I groped beneath my pillow for my handkerchief. It wasn't there. I searched my pockets, but still couldn't find it. Pain was now coupled with irritation.
Always another thing, whenever we are suffering, then the slightest thing which goes against our what we are trying to do, it we get irritated, and the irritation is blown out of proportion. You see, we just so simple thing that Balnatuji, the author, was trying to search for a handkerchief which he had tucked inside the pillow. He's not able to get the handkerchief. The pain is already there. I am unable to find my handkerchief, and then pain plus irritation.
Use mine, I heard your familiar voice say.
Baba says, use mine. Immediately, Baba always comes at the most appropriate time and in a very, very beautiful way. Use mine, he says.
As I opened my eyes, you extended a white kerchief to me. Transfixed, I could only gaze at you.
Transfixed could mean that you become motionless. You don't know what to say or what to do. You're just watching Baba's beautiful face, and all of a sudden, Baba is there.
Take it, you urged gently. Weren't you just looking for a kerchief? But I wasn't calling you, I rasped. I was just venting my suffering. Even a worldly father does not wait for a formal invitation to visit his dear ailing son. And you expect me to wait for your call?
Such a beautiful thought that the author is saying, but I was not even calling out for you. I did not even call out for you. So Baba says, even a worldly father would not wait for the son's call if the son is suffering. And you expected me that I should wait for your call so that I can come and visit you? That's what Baba is saying.
Your look of intimacy at that moment pierced my heart, and all the hardened dams of resistance within me collapsed. Fresh streams of tears flowed from my eyes, cool tears now, for they were tears of joy, and I wiped them away with that kerchief, your symbolic, loving gift.
The tears also have their if temperature, you may say. If they are cool tears, then they are tears of joy. And if they are warmish, they are tears of suffering.
Pain.
Pain.
But strange are the ways of love that even at the moment of deliverance, it will complain to the one who is most loving. The pain.
Isn't it true that we complain about the one who is most loving to us? We must be seeing in our day-to-day life, husband, wife, mother, son, daughter, whatever it is, that we complain about the same person who is actually so loving and kind towards us. Can you just read this again?
But strange are the ways of love that even at the moment of deliverance, it will complain to the one who is most loving.
Deliverance is, he has come to extricate him, the author, from the pain and suffering, and now he is complaining to Baba only about whatever he is going through.
The pain I had endured had affected my mind, my heart. When tortures rise, reason flies.
When tortures rise, reason flies. There's no logic, there's no reason to it.
For the last 3 days, I haven't said my rosary. I practically snapped.
He was in a habit, this is just a saying that he was in a habit of turning the rosary, counting the beads and all that. And he says the last 3 days I was so much in pain that I did not even bother about using the rosary.
Wonderful, you answered cheerfully. And I am not going to repeat your name any more regularly at specified times as I used to do. And I turned my face away from you. Excellent.
See, now here, this is where we have to understand that when the going is good, we always look up to Baba, as I always say, rock star, awesome, hero, whatever it is, But when things do not go our way, we get so dejected, we get so irritable. And here the author is saying that I am not going to now say the prayers at the appointed time. And he looked away from Baba. as if Baba had caused him all the suffering. In spite of the fact that Baba had come to alleviate the suffering, that's what we also do. We just stop saying the prayers, don't talk about Baba to me, enough, I have had enough of it. And then, of course, gradually we again turn around and go to Baba. It's not because of any qualifications on our part, but it was because of Baba's, absolute unconditional love for us that once again draws us. So he just turns his face away from Baba.
I was flabbergasted. Are you joking? No, I'm very happy to hear this.
Baba said, excellent. Baba said, excellent. That is why he said, are you joking? No.
Too much. I have no special. I know I'm very happy to hear this, for I have no special name. I am the nameless one. In fact, my name is unspeakable. All names are drowned in my silence. So any love-filled sound uttered with earnest longing becomes my name. It reaches straight to my heart, and my presence flows to those who suffer like a healing balm, at other times like tides of bubbling joy. You mean to say that your visiting me is not dependent upon my calling you? I am not dependent upon or bound by anything. So I am free to visit with or without an invitation.
Just one. I would like to repeat this paragraph because it is very profound, where Baba says, okay, when Baba said, excellent, that you have stopped taking my name. I am very happy. And the author says, I'm flabbergasted. Are you joking? I'm surprised. Are you joking? Baba says, no. I am very happy to hear this, for I have no special name. I am the nameless one. In fact, my name is unspeakable. All names are drowned in my silence. So any love-filled sound uttered with earnest longing becomes my name. This is very important. It's not necessary, of course, Baba, as word Baba, has its own potency, has its own importance, because Baba himself gave that name. But at the same time, Baba says that it has to be a love-filled sound. With earnest longing becomes my name. It reaches straight to my heart, and my presence flows to those who suffer like a healing balm, at other times like tides of bubbling joy. Then, of course, you mean to say you never came because I invited? He says, I am absolutely not bound by anything, whether invitation or no invitation. I come on my own whenever I feel like.
I laughed even though I was still in pain. Your words offered me freedom to implore you by any name at any time. It is not just the sound that matters, I ventured, but the feeling of total reliance on you.
It is not the sound, but the feeling of total reliance on you.
Now you really are becoming a good boy. I was really feeling a tremendous sense of release and relief, for your words had taken so much pressure off my head and my heart. But why were you confused earlier? You asked. Do you take me to be a businessman or salesman of spiritual truths? I am just as ever I am, the most natural one who is totally free and utterly bound. What would you call this state? Do you expect me to try to define your nature? If so, then even though you are infallible, this may be the first time you have overestimated someone.
This is so beautiful. The wordings are so beautiful. Like earlier times, the author says, although you are omniscient, all-knowing, I think there is some misjudgment in your judging the amount of suffering that I could take upon myself. Because he was self-pitying. Now here he says such a beautiful sentence, do you expect me to try to define your nature? Because when Baba said these words, but why were you confused earlier? You asked. Do you take me to be a businessman or salesman of spiritual truths? I am just as ever I am, the most natural one. So you cannot catch him or slot him in any particular slot, who is totally free and utterly bound, totally free in himself and utterly, in a sense, miserably bound in each one of us. What would you call this state? Baba is asking the author. So he said, do you want me to define your nature? And now superbly he says, if so, if you want me to do that, then even though you are infallible, infallible means not capable of making any fallacy or mistake. That means you cannot make any mistake or judgment and all that. So he said, even though you are infallible, this may be the first time you have overestimated someone. Means he's trying to tell Baba that you have overestimated my capacity to know the truth of your nature. Although you are infallible, although you never make any error of judgment, it seems that this is the first time you have overjudged my smartness because I'm not so smart.
In any case, freedom from self-imposed disciplines will bring you closer to me. When there is no pressure, no plan, no project, you become yielding as a tree in the wind, and the roots of your thoughts and feelings very easily reach to that point of balance in me. Who knows? This may bring me to you more frequently than rosaries or invitations or prayers. Why should you bind yourself to patterns? There is nothing wrong with methods or traditions, but there comes a time to leave these things behind in order to flow more easily to me.
So here again Baba is saying, nothing wrong in being disciplined, nothing wrong in doing a prayer at a certain time, at a certain place, in a certain manner. But there comes a time when you have to let go all these things and let your love flow freely to me. That way Baba is encouraging us to be most spontaneous and natural in our approach to Baba.
Do you mean to say that people should throw away their rosaries and prayer books? You gave me a look that was almost pitying. You have misunderstood me. If people were to throw away their prayer books and rosaries, they would only return to them in some new form that is even more tempting. My relationship with each individual is personal, and I see to each one's need. Do you want to be a preacher or a teacher? Is that why you are seeking such sweeping pronouncements from me? No,
So,
no,
go ahead.
no. But can't I be a friend by sharing what has been awakened by you in my heart? Why not? But this sharing should be without fear of being misunderstood and without authority to create dogma.
Dogma. I would like to read. I like this chapter. Most of the chapters are beautiful. Here, Baba says you don't need to throw away your books, prayer books, and rosaries, and all the things that you are using in order to approach me. Because if you were to throw that out, it will be replaced by something else. That means we are so conditioned to go through a certain process. Means we need to have a certain procedure, a certain methodology, a certain way of sitting, a certain way of standing, a certain way of bending, a certain time, a certain place. Baba says that if you throw that away, something else will take place and that will be more dangerous. So it is best that you allow your love to flow without any of these things. And then Baba says, okay. Then Baba says, do you want to be a preacher or a teacher? That you are asking so many questions and taking, extracting so many stuff out of me. Then the author says, no, but can't I be a friend? by sharing what you have awakened in my heart. That is where Baba says, why not? But this sharing should be without fear. In other words, sorry?
Fear of being misunderstood.
Fear of being misunderstood. Because whenever we try to talk about Baba to somebody, some of them, if not all, some of us has got this fear of being misunderstood. So there should be, if you want to share my priceless, treasures with the others, what Baba has given, you can do so, but without fear of being misunderstood. And on the other side, many people say it with a lot of authority. Many people say it in such a way that it becomes a sort of a principle or a dogma. So Baba says, and without authority to create dogma. We have known people, in fact, Soumya knows somebody. No, you must get up at this time in the morning. No, you must say Baba's name so many times. No, you must do this at this. And that kind, it becomes a dogma. Because the person is very authoritatively telling those who have come in Baba's fold through that person, this is to be done, that is to be done. So Baba said, avoid that. Because each one is differently made. Each one has a separate, individual, unique path to Baba, and that should be honored, and that should happen very most naturally and spontaneously.
This will help me to be in the world, but not without you. You smiled. You are beginning to understand at least a little. But I am still troubled by the basic question which I have not yet uttered. Why is there such suffering in the world? Why is suffering necessary? Because you want it.
See, the question is, why is there so much suffering in the world? Obviously, Balnatu is asking this question because just a moment before, he was in excruciating pain. He was suffering. And the superb answer that Baba gives is, because you want it. Like Buddha telling, if you are suffering, you are to be blamed. Words to the effect. So in other words, Baba is saying the same thing. Because you want suffering, that's why you are getting suffering.
I was stunned. For 2 days, I have not been able to sleep because of the pain. Was this necessary? Was it for my good? You gave me a serene, compassionate look. Ordinarily, you rise from sleep every morning, eager to chase your waking dreams, your desires. I am the awakener. Hasn't your pain awakened you to a new perspective on life? Can you deny that such a change, such an enlargement of your outlook was necessary? And am I not here to console you in your suffering?
So this is again a very important thought process, that any suffering is to awaken us to the true nature of the self. Any suffering is to awaken us rather than being in a complaint mode, or why me, poor me, weeping, wailing, and all that, blaming somebody else. It should be a process of awakening to the true goal. It should be so. Here, Baba says, ordinarily, you rise from sleep every morning, eager to chase your waking dreams. What is now today we are doing the waking dream. Eager to chase your waking dreams. And what are the waking dreams? Your desires. I am the awakener. Hasn't your pain awakened you to a new perspective on life? Pain awakens us to a new perspective on life. When we suffer too much, we realize what is the worth of so many houses, or so many cars, or so much of bank balance, so many investments. You realize that they are just nothing, they're just pieces of paper. It has no meaning. You see? So the entire perspective towards life goes very much pronounced. It is very much deep. We get from within us a true perspective on life. Can you deny that such a change, such an enlargement of your outlook was necessary? And am I not here to console you in your suffering? So in short, what Baba is trying to convey is that suffering is a wake-up call for all of us, provided we use that suffering in a positive manner, rather than blaming and, as I said, all the other things, not in the negative sense. Suffering is like a wake-up call which awakens us to the true perspective of life.
I had no answer to this. It was true. Yet, a doubt continued to nag me, which I was reluctant to voice. Was it necessary for my pain to be so drastic? You spoke directly to my heart, answering my question without my asking it aloud. Do you think that I would have let you suffer like this if there had been any other possible way?
The author had not asked the question. The author is just ruminating in the mind, that was this such chaotic, such drastic suffering, was it necessary? And Baba answered in his heart that had there been any other possible way, would I have allowed you to suffer so much?
I don't mean that, but at the same time, I don't know how this sort of suffering can be justified. So allow me to repeat my question. Truly, why must there be suffering in life? Because you want it. How can you say this? How can it be? Suffering is an adjustment of awareness that comes about through the law of compassion. It balances and also accelerates the consciousness of reality within each one.
See, again, mark the words, so beautiful. Suffering is an adjustment of awareness that comes about through the law of compassion. In other words, not law of karma, law of compassion. In fact, law of karma is a law of compassion only, that we are balancing out whatever we have already done, so that we don't have to face that again. It is squared, balanced, equal. So I'll repeat this very superb word. Suffering is an adjustment of awareness that comes about through the law of compassion. It balances and also accelerates the consciousness of reality within each one. It balances, that we know, because no suffering can come unless it was necessary in order to balance some sort of past karmas. So it balances and also accelerates the consciousness, so that you are become free as soon as you can, as soon as possible.
How is this done? I still don't understand. Through sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell, the wonder of each moment continually expresses itself in life. This is the flow of beauty in the impermanence of illusion, and it is all intended to invite you to the real, renewing beauty that I am. But the moment anyone tries to distort this function, some sort of suffering naturally sets in. This is a gift, not a curse.
Please try to follow these thoughts. Why suffering? Why do we suffer? Baba explains so beautifully. Through sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. That means all the five senses that we have. The wonder of each moment continually expresses itself in life. We see, we hear, we taste, we touch, we smell. This is the flow of beauty, because after all these five senses are in the domain of illusion. This is the flow of beauty in the impermanence of illusion. Everything that we smell, that we see, that we touch, that we hear, that we taste has its beauty, but it is in the domain of illusion. And it is also intended to invite you to the real renewing beauty that I am. Superb. All these things are inviting us. They are the signposts to go to the beauty, capital B, that I am. In other words, from the creation to the Creator. Anything that we see beautiful should remind us of the beauty of the Creator, Baba. Anything that we taste tasty, nice, should remind us of the Creator. Anything that we hear beautiful, some beautiful music, should remind us of the Creator. In other words, all these things that are there in illusion should become pointers for us to remember Baba. Now, next sentence. But the moment anyone tries to distort this function, see, distort means twist in its function. That means if anything of these taste, touch, whatever, we distort it for self gratification rather than for the function for which it is created. That is to draw us towards the beauty of Baba, the Creator. I'll repeat. But the moment anyone tries to distort this function, what is the function? To take us to the beauty that I am, Baba says. If anyone tries to distort this function, some sort of suffering naturally sets in. That means any deviation of the law brings us suffering. This is a gift, not a curse. See the power of the words, that this suffering is actually a gift to you. It is not a curse. You are not suffering because you are being punished. It is a gift so that you may understand the real value of suffering and awaken yourself and readjust your consciousness. Baba uses the word acceleration of consciousness towards the goal. I would like Soumya to read this paragraph again, because this is the nichor, as we say, the crux of the chapter, that all this that we are enjoying in life. You see the beautiful ocean, you see the beautiful sunrise, the sunset, you hear beautiful music, all the five senses are there in order to take us to the beauty that I am, Baba says. But if there is any distortion of that functionality, and if we do it and gobble up that for our own selfish, self-centric cravings, then suffering comes in. Please read this last one.
How is this done? I still don't understand. Through sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell, the wonder of each moment continually expresses itself in life. This is the flow of beauty in the impermanence of illusion. And it is all intended to invite you to the real, renewing beauty that I am. But the moment anyone tries to distort this function, some sort of suffering naturally sets in. This is a gift, not a curse. But is it not human to err? So it is also human to suffer. Pleasures of the senses in themselves are not bad. They can be friends. Illusion is my partner. It is attachment that distorts and impedes life. When you cling to the senses through memory of the joys they have given you, the flow of life is blocked. The more you are freed from this form of clinging, the less you will suffer. Again, it is a question of balance. A tasty dish is a delight, but if you overeat, you get diarrhea. You suffer and put the blame on me.
Sorry, I'm tempted to always repeat the paragraphs. So the author is asking, is it not human to err, to make mistake, to have errors in our life? Is it not human to err? And Baba says, so it is also human to suffer. You see, how crisp and repartee, yeah. Pleasures of the senses in themselves are not bad. They can be friends. Illusion is my partner. Baba, reality, illusion, in partnership they work. And the partnership, both have got only one purpose: to try and extricate us from the bondage of illusion, from the bondage of our own samskaras. Dear friends, illusion is my partner. It is attachment that distorts and impedes life. Again, here the word is attachment. Because we are attached to our past experiences, because we are attached to our senses, that is where it is distorting life and it is impeding life. When you cling to your senses, to the senses, through memory of the joys they have given you, the flow of your life is blocked. The flow of our life should always be the present moment, the eternal now. Everything has to be the eternal now. If we are dependent, or if we are living in the past because of some happening, some experience, it could be pleasurable, it could be the other way around, that is what blocks the flow of our life. So Baba says here, when you cling to the senses through memory of the joys they have given you, the flow of life is blocked. The more you are free from this form of clinging, the less you will suffer. Simple. That means if we want to have less suffering, we should be free from the clinging of the past.
So that is anchored in the now.
Yeah, and be anchored in the present moment, which is the eternal now. Again, it is a question of balance. Baba is coming down to our level and he says it's a question of balance. You see, a tasty dish is a delight. But if you overeat, you get diarrhea. You suffer and put the blame on me. That's what we all do. We transgress laws, normal laws. For example, simple law of this, you become a glutton and you have diarrhea or you have any other sort of problem, and then you talk to Baba, you blame Baba. Why is it that I am suffering? So Baba is talking about here, we kept on talking about poise, equanimity, and equanimity. Here again, Baba is talking, it's a question of balance. Enjoy everything, but do not be attached to it. You must know when to leave things behind and move forward rather than being attached to it.
Yet you come to forgive us and awaken us, sometimes gracefully, sometimes painfully. Is this what you mean? But this time my suffering was really terrible. But remember, physical suffering, even in its most severe form, cannot equal the intensity of mental and spiritual suffering. Yet, even here, my mercy prevails, for mental and spiritual suffering, being more intense, offer higher and subtler dispensations of my grace, and those who suffer in these ways are led to experience a vaster realm of my presence.
So there are different types of suffering. One is the physical suffering, and we understand this way that when the physical suffering, reaches its peak, there is an automatic switch, as we say, like how this tripper in electricity, that we become unconscious. Then there is mental suffering, there is spiritual suffering. This is my interpretation. I do not know what mental suffering and spiritual suffering would mean, but I looked up and this is what, to me, it seems that mental suffering could be something like depression, anxiety, uh, anxiety disorders, addictive behavior, and schizophrenia. This is what I got from elsewhere, nothing not mentioned in this book or any of Baba's books, which could be construed, I say, as mental suffering. And spiritual suffering could be feeling abandoned by God. You feel that you're abandoned by God, or doubts about religion or spiritual beliefs, or some kind of void of love. You feel very void of love, or void of faith, void of hope, void of any kind of virtue. This is what, as I said, got it from someone else. So Baba says that greater than physical suffering is the mental suffering and the spiritual suffering. And just as I come to you in physical suffering, I am also available to those in the mental and spiritual suffering, and that my presence is felt more pronounced because the suffering is still more pronounced in mental as well as the spiritual suffering.
I had heard enough about suffering and was already in too vast a realm for my comprehension. This is too much for me to take in all at once, I complained, smiling. You are putting too large a tree in too small a pot. You looked amused. It is you who raised the subject, not me. So good. Let's stop here. By the way, I see your handkerchief there on the pillow. Have you noticed it? So, will you return mine to me? My heart sank. You really mean it? Yes, I may need it for someone else. But you have stocks and stocks of them. That may be true, but haven't you realized yet that I am the perfect economist?
1 minute, sorry for this. Baba was a perfect economist. Talking about handkerchief, Baba had this habit in Sava's programs of Baba means the Mandli would stack handkerchiefs on one side, and every now and then Erach would, or anybody who's the orderly there, would wipe Baba's forehead and face if it is a hot summer month, and mostly it is hot summer only in Guru Prasad in Pune because Baba used to go there sometime in April and return in July. So then those handkerchiefs would be collected, and Baba would sometimes hand over these handkerchiefs whenever Baba was very happy with some singer. So he would just give that handkerchief to that person as a personal gift because that is Baba's God's, you can say perspiration, sweat is there, and that is given. I remember a few people who have been given this. One of them is who's the lady singer, Ghazal? Begum Akhtar. Begum Akhtar. Anyway, so talking about handkerchief, Baba had this habit of giving the handkerchief. Talking about, don't you know that I am a perfect economist? I am reminded of a story which Don Stevens said, that when he had come perhaps for the first time or whatever, Baba had arranged through, of course, the Mandali, his stay in some hotel, which was quite a posh hotel because they are not accustomed to living in a small, what should I say, shacks like thing, And then at the time of going, Don came to Baba to bid him goodbye, Jai Baba and all that. Immediately Baba said, Erach, give that bill, that hotel bill to Don. So he made sure that Don paid for the hotel bill in which he was housed, lovingly housed by Baba. So Baba has been a very perfect economist. And there are many other, but there's no time now. So I am also a perfect economist. Then, and also the most benevolent one.
I intended to comply with your wish. Honestly, I did. But after you left, I realized that in your overpowering presence, or whatever that was, I had given you my kerchief instead of your own, and you said nothing. It was as though you had taken my physical pain with you, leaving me in a state of rapturous relief. What a humility! What a humility! What
The
a
humanity.
divinity!
What a humanity.
What a humanity! What a beyond ity! Really, you have no name.
So what had happened was in that whatever you call it, the author gave his own handkerchief to Baba. And although Baba knew, obviously he knew it, he just took it. And along with that, all the pain and everything just went over. That showed Baba's love for each one of us. Thinking about that, I'm reminded of a very short WhatsApp that came very profound, where a 5-year old girl is asking a 7-year-old brother, asking a question, what is love? And the brother says, that I know that you are stealing the biscuits from my box. You are stealing on a daily basis. You are stealing the biscuits from my box, and I continue to keep it there. In other words, knowing that she is stealing, he would put it there. Another thing, another story that comes to my mind. We'll end a little early today because today is Dhuni day. So maybe some people may like to go for Dhuni, maybe another 2-3 minutes more for this session, today's session. We'll end up a little early. I remember Baba had this very charitable nature. So he would be giving all kinds of, pencils, notebooks, sharpeners, whatever, to his school friends and all that. And where would he get the money from? He would flick it from Sheriyarji's pocket. Sheriyarji had a Parsi Dagla, and Parsi Dagla had many pockets. Sheriyarji, knowing fully well that Merwan is flicking, stealing money from my coat every day, but he knew that he's using it for a good cause, would continue to put the money in the pocket. So that was the kind of love, that was between the father and the son. So I think with this, so that's we end this session, and with the ending of the session, with the ending of the chapter, we also end this book called Conversations with the Awakener. Next term, that is on Saturday, we'll start with more conversations with the Awakener. Okay? So anybody has anything to ask, share? It's almost 6:20. They were supposed to light the Dhuni at 6:15. So I'm just, anybody has anything to share, ask? Nothing. Right. So thank you, Baba. Yes?
I would like to thank all the group people who showed a lot of concern about my health and made inquiries, and thank Baba for the
Thank you, Baba.
blessings.
We
Thank
need,
you.
Yeah, Jai Baba, we need
Jai
to have your contact number because we don't know where to contact
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do that.
Yeah.
But we knew
Thank you.
for sure that something is not going too right. I wouldn't say wrong. Baba took care of it. Baba takes care of
Yes,
it.
yes. Baba took care. And
Yes,
today's
yes.
session was a recapitulation of last 1 month of what I went through.
Oh,
So this
great,
chapter is
great,
so
great.
relevant.
Oh, great, great. So this chapter was meant for you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
for all
Thank
of us. Yeah.
Somebody wants, yeah. Yeah, please go ahead, Goyal.
Niman.
Nimanzilim. Nimanzililam. Go ahead.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Neelam Goyal.
Yeah.
Just can you explain?
Your voice is cracking.
Yeah, spiritual suffering. Can you explain it again?
What?
Which suffering?
Spiritual suffering.
Spiritual.
Sorry, Jai Baba.
Go ahead.
So, spiritual. Yes.
Spiritual suffering.
See, as I said,
Can you-
these are not, yeah, okay. As I said, these are not Baba's words, but I picked it up from somewhere, and I'll also talk about the mental suffering being depression, anxiety disorders, addictive behavior, schizophrenia. And on spiritual suffering, feeling abandoned by God. You feel that you are abandoned by God, God is not there, Then doubts in religious or spiritual beliefs. You don't believe, you have got doubts in that, is a spiritual suffering. Then void of love, void of faith, hope, and virtues. But again, I repeat, it is not from Baba's literature. If someday I find from Baba's literature, I will openly say that. But this is what I picked up from elsewhere. So these are the suffering which are not physical, but they are more pronounced as compared to physical. And Baba says that is where my presence also is more pronounced, because the suffering is too much. Okay? Okay then. Thank you, Baba. Avatar Meher Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.